What's going on, guys? It's your boy Trolltech here for another video. So today we're doing something a little special. So we are going to be watching a summary video of the BTS universe lore because we watched the trailer for the drama that's coming out based on this lore. And I was so fucking lost. I had no idea what was happening. Even though I did listen to like Blood, Sweat and Tears, I Need You, and all these other songs that are linked to it, I still have no fucking idea what's going on. So people recommended that I check this video out, or not this video specifically, but I check this channel out. So we're going to be watching, what's the video? What's the channel? We're watching BTS Universe Story Summary by X Celeste. A lot of people recommend this channel, and there was like a longer version of this video. There's like a longer version, but it was like an hour long, and honestly, I feel like that was too long to react to, so I just found a slightly shorter version. It's still 30 minutes long. So we're gonna watch that one. This one was released in 2021, so it might be a bit outdated, but I think it would still have the same idea. And I'm planning to watch I'll probably watch the other one, the really long one, on my own. I think that's most likely what I'll do, because really what I want with this video, I just want to have a basic idea of what's going on in the storyline. Like, I don't need to know full specifics. I just need to have a basic structure in my brain on what's going on. Really, that's what this video is about. So I think this one should be fine as well. It's got like 100,000 views. Like, it's got a lot of likes, so I assume it's a good video. But yeah. So without further ado, let's get into BTS Universe Summary. You know? Here we go. Let's get into it.
Welcome back to my channel and to another
Wait, is there captions? Just because, you know, I talk a lot, so if there's captions... No, I don't think there is. Okay, don't worry. I'll just have to pause a lot.
video. This time I'll be summarizing the BTS Universe Story game. This summary goes over the prologue up to the Nightmare epilogue. Since I'm trying to keep this video short, it's not as detailed.
Wait,
so I always suggest you guys should...
There's a video game? Oh, these cunts went deep into this, I guess. I know there's a webtoon. Didn't know there was a video game.
Try the game out yourself, if ever. But to answer one question...
That would be fun to do like a let's play of that game.
Yes, this game goes with the current storyline that connects to their music videos, albums, webtoon, the notes book, and the upcoming drama called Youth.
Okay.
Prologue gives you a quick summary about where things are right now, since the game takes place in one time setting with multiple time travels back. This game takes place after the Save Me webtoon, when Seokjin returned to South Korea after being in America.
Wait. There's so much extra information. Okay, mate, wait. Okay, I think I'm gonna have to watch this video, because I think that video that we just watched, that we were watching just then, was based on the game, and there's events that have happened that I still don't know about. So we're gonna have to watch this long behemoth of a video. It's fine. It's more updated anyway. 2020. Oh wait, no, this is. Wait, what the fuck? Wait. This is... Okay, I'm tripping. So, one sec.
Webtoon.
So this says... This says 3 years ago. Right? And it says 2021 was uploaded. When did she upload this?
And we're sent to clean this...
This was... Okay, so this was released a month after. Okay, so this is the latest update. Okay, let's watch this. Let's watch this video then.
Welcome back to my channel and to an updated BTS storyline summary. Reminder that this is a
fictional storyline created by Big Hit.
Fictional storyline created by Big Hit. This video contains information from BTS's music videos, films, highlight reels, concert VCRs, Save Me webtoon, BTS Universe Story game, notes, album, and the notes 1 and 2 books.
Okay.
Yeah,
So this is better.
Pieces everywhere. This is
a more comprehensive, like, everything about the storyline.
Updated version from my last BTS storyline summary back in 2019.
I see.
Since then, we've gotten a lot more information, so that's why I'm making this updated version.
We definitely got to like do a webtoon reaction, and then we got to do like play the game. Like, we're definitely gonna do all that shit. Like, That's 100% happening.
We'll begin with the boys meeting in high school, March 2, year 19.
Okay.
The boys were late for school and were sent to clean the...
So it coincides with how they debuted, I assume, because like how old was Jin? How old was Jin? Wait. Hey Siri, how old was Jin from BTS when he debuted? 19. No, were they? How old were the BTS? Oh, okay, no, he was 21 when they debuted. So maybe, I don't know. Okay, whatever.
Storage classroom as punishment. Through this event, they became close friends and made the storage classroom their secret hideout.
That's why they're
a lot of happy moments.
That's why they're all delinquents and shit in the trailer and stuff and the music videos, because they met in detention
together, filled with laughter and joy. June 12, year 19. They decided to ditch school to find a rock by the sea that would grant wishes, but when they got there, the rock was no longer there. It was under construction for a seawall, but they still shouted out their dreams over the loud sounds of the drill.
Okay.
This was when they took their first Polaroid picture. As time went on, hardships in life began to tear them apart.
Yeah, which is what we saw in the
Around
music
May,
videos.
Year 20, Namjoon moved to the countryside with his brother, mother, and ill father. He was about to write a letter to the boys, but instead, he fogged up the window in their hideout and wrote, "We must survive." Namjoon left without saying anything to the boys. Namjoon lived in poverty. His family has been struggling to pay for the father's hospital bills. He would work 2 to 3 part-time jobs in order to pay for the bill and to make a living. The boys looked up to Namjoon because of how responsible he was, but he felt pressured. They'd say how they wanted to be an adult like him, but little did they know how he felt.
And that's where the lollipop symbolism comes in, right? Like, you know, so who was saying it? Someone in the comments was saying how the lollipop, because they can't smoke and show smoking, it symbolizes smoking. So it symbolizes going from like childhood to adulthood, kind of.
Taehyung looked up to Namjoon a lot. When he was young, his mother left him and his older sister behind.
Okay, so it's a brother. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. Wait, what the fuck? I'm not gonna lie. I low-key thought there was like some fruitiness going on between Namjoon and V in that music video, because the way they were, I was just like, what's going on? Are they just mates or are they roommates? You know?
Both him and his sister grew up getting abused by their alcoholic father. Since Taehyung doesn't open up about his feelings and hardships, the boys don't really know what he's going through.
Oh, did he end?
June 11, year 20.
Is that who he ends up stabbing? He ends up stabbing his dad in the I Need You music video.
Seokjin was forced by the principal to reveal their hideout. The principal threatened to tell Seokjin's father about how he was a bad student. The dean walked into the hideout while Jungkook and Yoongi were playing the piano. He came up and slapped Jungkook. Yoongi became defensive and ended up pushing the dean. Because of this, Yoongi got expelled from school.
Classic Yoongi behavior. That's something you would do IRL, I feel like.
Seokjin lived in a wealthy family. When his mother passed away, his father sent him to the US to live with his grandmother.
That's the vibe I was getting anyway.
His father was an assemblyman who was always strict and cold towards him. Seokjin just wanted to make his family proud of him. September 15, year 20. Hoseok and Jimin were at the bus stop when Jimin ended up having a seizure. He was brought to the hospital, and Hoseok tried to stay by his side, but Jimin's mother turned him away. When Hoseok was about 6 to 7 years old, his mother brought him to a carnival and gave him a chocolate bar. She told him to close his eyes, then count to 10.
He got abandoned?
When he opened his eyes, she was gone.
Crazy.
She abandoned him, and he ended up living in an orphanage for 10 years. Through this event, Hoseok developed narcolepsy, or at least that's what he says. I have a theory that he has a disorder called Munchausen syndrome, which we see during his film For Mama. It's a mental disorder in which a person repeatedly and deliberately acts as if he or she has a physical
and
or
it could come from like the
illness.
idea of like being abandoned, so that's the only way he can get attention, almost, that he was taken away from him. You know what I mean? It's almost that's where it would have began, you know, which is really fascinating. Okay, this is way darker than I thought it was going to be. I'm going to be straight up. This is so dark. It really goes to show though that like not everyone needs to be a parent. Like, I know it's fictional, don't get me wrong, but this is a perfect illustration of just like some people just should not procreate because all of their parents just seem shit. Taeyoung's is, this is all fictional, mind you, but I'm just using their names because, yeah. Taeyoung's dad is abusive, an alcoholic. Fucking J-Hope got abandoned. Don't know about Yoongi yet. Namjoon doesn't seem to have too much problem. His parents are just, his dad's just sick, right? Who else do we have? But yeah, just Jin's dad is like a cold-hearted rich dude. Like, yeah, they just got all these boys in this fictional like storyline have terrible parents, most of them.
When he or she is not really sick. In the Notes 1 book, for May 16, year 22, Hosuk admitted to Jimin that his narcolepsy was actually fake. September 28, year 20.
So it's basically
Jimin
confirmed.
is still in the hospital and has been there for 2 years now. Today was a special day for him. He lied for the first time and told the doctors that he didn't remember a thing. When Jimin was about 8 years old, an incident at the flowering arboretum scarred him for life. After a school picnic, he began to walk home alone since his parents didn't show up to pick him up. It began to rain, so he ran into a storage building of the flowering arboretum. That's where he saw a little kid laying on the ground tied up in a room. He had bruises on his arms and legs and scars on his wrist from being tied up for too long. He witnessed the kid trying to fight back by using a box cutter, but a man unarmed the boy and slammed the door shut. Jimin heard the boy's screams turn into wailing and gradually subsided. Jimin was able to escape without being caught, but ever since this incident, he began to have seizures, and his parents kept bringing him to the hospital.
That would definitely give you some fucking trauma. I feel like the kid that was trapped in the thing is probably going to be who was Jimin with? I'm thinking he was with J-Hope, right? So the kid could potentially be J-Hope that was locked into storage.
Transferred to 5 different schools because of this. We find out that the kid's last name is Choi.
Okay, maybe
he was
not.
About 5 years old at that time. The little boy was discovered near Hwayong Mountain on April 10, and he suffered from temporary amnesia. The police were looking for clues to conduct an investigation.
Okay.
But it seemed like nothing was solved.
Interesting.
This little kid is most likely the boy Seokjin tried to save on October 10, year 9. They were trying to kidnap this kid for ransom because the father's company went bankrupt, but Seokjin helped him escape. He tried to hide this kid in his house, but Seokjin's father let them into the house to take the kid away.
Oh, wow.
Now, here's the thing. Seokjin's event happened in year 9, and Jimin's event happened in year 11. So I'm not sure if
there's a 2-year gap.
Kid was really kept for that long or what happened in between, but just make note of that. September 30th.
Bro, this shit's in depth. This is crazy. What the fuck? This is actually mad. Like, I love that they have this full in-depth, like, crazy storyline.
20. Jungkook would go to their secret hideout every day in hopes of one day seeing them all gathered together again. In the end, they didn't. It was just Hosuk and Jungkook. Jungkook relied on the boys a lot. His father left when he was 7, so he lived with his mother, stepfather, and stepbrother. He'd get abused by his stepbrother while his stepfather and mother watched and did nothing. So
yeah, they just Not one of them has a good parent. Honestly, not a single one of these guys have a good parent in this storyline. It's just some people just do not deserve to procreate. I'm telling you.
Family were the boys, who were now falling apart. He was very close to Yoongi, and he'd always be listening to Yoongi play the piano at their secret hideout. Yoongi has always loved making music, but when he was 15 years old, his house caught on fire with his mother still inside.
Fuck
She
him.
passed away, and she was the reason why Yoongi started playing the piano. Him and his father don't have a good relationship, and it seemed as if his father didn't want him to continue making music. Theory: Yoongi's mom was the one who started the fire to commit suicide. She supposedly went insane.
That's what the
and was
fire
also a
symbolizes.
pianist.
Ah, that
Now
makes
the
sense.
story
And he's
goes
like,
on.
it's almost like a bitter smile as he's watching it. That's crazy, bro. There's so much like just things that you just like you have no idea. Oh my god.
Namjoon left for the countryside without telling anyone, but comes back after over a year and lives in a container. Seokjin transferred to a school in Los Angeles without a word. Taehyung's whereabouts were always unknown. Yoongi never showed up after being expelled from school. Jimin never came back to school after going to the hospital. Hoseok was now working a part-time job at a burger joint called 2-Star Burger, and he would sometimes see Jungkook in his school uniform. April 11, year
It honestly seems like J-Hope's doing the best right now. The other boys are just like in like alleyways, like living in a container. One's in a hospital, one's going someone else, and J-Hope's just working at Macca's. So I think he's doing the best, him and Jungkook right now.
22. Seokjin finally came back to Korea after 2 years and 10 months. He drove to
So this is 3 years after their separation, I think.
And spotted Namjoon working there. He decided not to say hi and ended up driving away. May 22, year 22. Seokjin begins to wonder what the other boys were doing now. He decides to go back to the gas station to visit Namjoon, but when he gets there, he finds out Namjoon ended up going to jail. He got his
What?
phone number and went to visit him. Namjoon revealed that he got into jail after getting into a fight with a customer.
That's
Also was in
crazy.
the hospital after a bad accident. They didn't know where Taehyung and Jimin were, and that both Jungkook
Wait.
and
If this is Taehyung, he's got blood. Is this when he ends up stabbing his dad then? Like in the I Need You music video?
didn't know where Taehyung and Jimin were, and that both Jungkook and Yoongi were dead.
Dead?
When Seokjin was heading out of the police office, he saw Taehyung outside of the entrance. He was tied up and convicted of murder.
Oh,
Seokjin
that's,
went back
yeah, he
to the
shanked his
beach
dad.
He visited back in high school and asked himself, where did it all go wrong? Then a voice spoke to him. If you could turn back time, do you believe you can straighten out the errors and mistakes and save everyone?
Oh, so he goes.
He woke up
He's a time
and
traveler.
it was April 11th.
That's why Jin feels like the main character, because he is the main character in this storyline. Like he goes back in time to fix all the fuck ups that happened, basically.
He thought it was all a dream and continued his day like nothing happened. He went to the gas station and saw Namjoon, then again decided not to say hi. He began to drive through an alley when a body landed on the hood of his car. He realized it was Jungkook. His heart began to beat fast and everything shattered like a mirror. It was April 11 again. So he kept thinking everything was a dream, and so the same things would happen again. He went to the gas
Okay, so it's like a loop until he can manage to save them. It's gonna continue. The loop continues and continues.
station and didn't say hi to Namjoon. And this time he's walking down the alley, and then Jungkook's body dropped behind him. Everything shattered, and a voice spoke to him once again. You won't make it out here alone in this entangled destiny.
Interesting.
Here's how you remember the loop. And as the voice spoke to him, he began to see fragments of the previous timelines. Then another voice spoke. if you could turn back time, do you believe you could straighten out the errors and mistakes and save everyone? That's when Seokjin finally realized that he's been going back in time. Okay, now things get super complicated during this journey. He begins to find
Begins to get super. It's been complicated since the first minute of this video. I'm barely keeping track of what's happening. I think I get it though. So they were mates. Something happened. They all went their own separate ways. They all started doing some. They had some issues. Like they had a lot of mental health issues as a result of the way their parents raised them, or didn't raise them. Let's say. And then some shit happens, and someone's gone to jail. Some of them die. Some of them do this, and then Jin is approached by like a deity or something, or some type of greater power that gives him the ability to go back. Or not even go back, but he's stuck in this loop, and he probably can't get out of the loop until he manages to save everyone. I think that's what I understand so far.
Find out how each of the boys get in trouble and how they die, but every time he travels back in time, things would change. Because of the butterfly effect, location and time would sometimes change. Reminder that butterfly effect is a part of the chaos theory that states
one small change. So him approaching Namjoon could change so much things.
Change the outcome of an event. At this point, we don't know how many times Seokjin had traveled back in time, but he began to realize that he has to learn more about the boys and their struggles in order to help them. He also realizes that he needs the boys to help him, but he does this indirectly. If you want all of the details, I do recommend you starting with the Save Me webtoon and then continue by playing the BTS Universe story game.
I'll definitely be doing that.
I did create a summary for the game if you'd like to check that out. Link is in my description box. But I'll be going over each character's tragedies, which is shown during their Save Me webtoon, their reason, which is found in the BTS Universe story game, and the solution, which is found during the Notes 1 and 2 book. On April 11, year 22, Namjoon gets into a fight with a customer at the gas station. The customer would get his gas filled, then drop the cash on the ground for Namjoon to pick up. This would cause a fight, and Namjoon would end up in jail.
Interesting.
Reason: money has always been a constant source of frustration and misery for Namjoon.
Yeah.
He has been working 2 to 3 part-time jobs to pay for his ill father's hospital bills. Because of this, he lived in a container and would sometimes sleep at the gas station's break room. He had to put his love for books aside and hold off on purchases because of his budget. That's why he couldn't stomach kneeling down to pick up the money and being insulted over it. Solution: Seokjin lets the whole scene with the rude customer play out, but as soon as the customer drops the money for Namjoon to pick up, Seokjin comes in and grabs it, then hands it to the customer. This saved Namjoon from getting into a fight and going to jail. Later that night, April 11,
and there's the butterfly effect. Like, what does that change?
Would purposely get into fights with thugs on the street, then make his way to the top of a construction building to jump off. Reason: the boys were his family, and he was no longer in contact with them.
So he had nothing,
he
basically.
He felt like his family didn't care about him, and that no one cared about him. Solution: after Seokjin saved Namjoon at the gas station, Namjoon invited him to meet up with Taehyung and Hosok after work. Seokjin asked about the others, and Namjoon said he didn't really talk to the others anymore, but he does think Hosok still talked to Yoongi.
Interesting.
Seokjin would encourage.
Like, I'm curious, like, what happened that split these dudes up? You know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm curious about.
And this would cause a domino effect. Namjoon would call Hosok asking him to invite Yoongi. Then Yoongi calls Jungkook before he decides to jump off the construction building. May 2,
wow.
year 22,
the butterfly effect, right?
Yoongi burns himself in either a motel or his workroom. He also tries on April 29 and May 10 during different timelines.
And that's what the music video is about.
Butterfly effect. Reason. Yoongi believed that bad things would happen to people he cared about. This caused him to distance himself from the boys, especially Jungkook.
So really, what I'm getting is these kids just need to go to therapy. That's the number one thing that I've noticed. Like, I think what Jin needs to do is just collect them all and just take them to a therapist, because that's the bottom line, is they're just going through a lot of shit that's not processed correctly in their brain, and they are making rash decisions as a result. That's all it sounds like to me.
Seokjin realized the last time Yoongi genuinely smiled was when all 7 of the boys were together.
What happened?
The last time
Yoongi wasn't. Wait, what's he say? I'm trying to think.
Solution. Seokjin realized
Yoongi wasn't as sunny as Hosuk or kind as Jimin.
The last time Yoongi genuinely
And he wasn't dependable like Namjoon. But he was always looking at us. Okay.
He also realized that both Yoongi and Jungkook had the same tinge of desperation in their eyes. Jungkook was the key to saving Yoongi. So this time, instead of Seokjin
Jungkook and
doing
Yoongi
it
are
himself,
close in this.
he had Jungkook visit Yoongi
like they're the
at
closest,
his workroom.
those two.
This would cause Yoongi to run away and go into the motel. Jungkook would then try to run after him and follow him. Seokjin left a clue in front of the motel Yoongi was in so Jungkook could find him. And that's how Jungkook ends up saving Yoongi from the fire. May 12, year 22. Jimin drowns himself in the bathtub at the hospital.
Yeah, okay. I've seen that scene. I remember that scene.
While he was in the surgical ward, he would make the same choice days after he returned to the closed ward. Reason. Jimin believes that he belongs in the hospital. This was his way of running away from the past incident he witnessed at the Flying Aboard
Trauma. They just need to go to therapy, man. That's just really the answer.
So that's why
it just seems like they all have these mental issues that are just being kind of like tossed to the side, and no one's really focusing on them, and they're just kind of putting it under the rug, and it's just like, I'll deal with this on my own, and that seems to be the root of the problem, really.
Solution. Seokjin had tried to convince Jimin to leave and also had Taehyung try, but it didn't work. Hosuk is supposed to be the one who could convince Jimin to leave the hospital. May 10, year 22. Hosuk falls and hits his head while walking on a bridge. He ended up in the hospital for a checkup. May 12, year 22. Hosuk accidentally falls down the stairs at the hospital and breaks his ankle. Reason. Hosuk gets a call from the children's home, which is his orphanage, in regards to Kim Jung-hee, the staff who was like a mother to him. She has colon cancer, and because it was in its late stage, surgery had a low chance of success. After finding out this news on May 10, he would collapse on the bridge. As for the accident at the hospital, Hosuk would notice a woman with a long skirt had pressed with a child.
His mom abandoned him when he was like 10 years old, right?
So he followed her down the stairs and ended up falling. Solution. Seokjin figured out that Jimin was the solution to saving Hosuk. Hosuk actually ended up in the same hospital Jimin was at.
Bro, the way Jin is manipulating this entire, like, all their actions to make them
his name and led him over
connect again is crazy.
Jimin saw Hosuk running down the stairs and was able to catch him before he fell. After Hosuk was released from the hospital, he came back with the others. They all worked together to help Jimin and encouraged him to leave the hospital. May 20, year 22. Taehyung would come home to his alcoholic father abusing his older sister.
And that's where he shanks him.
Him to grab a bottle, break it open, then stab his father to death. This led up to him going to jail. If he didn't end up in jail,
that was crazy when I watched the music video.
Off the viewing platform by the ocean in front of the boys in a different timeline. Reason. Taehyung and his sister have been dealing with their alcoholic father for years, and Taehyung was fed up with the violence. As for him jumping off the platform, this happened during a timeline when they stopped him from murdering his father. He was frightened that he would become just like his father because of the recent incident. Solution. Seokjin had personally tried to stop Taehyung but ended up accidentally getting stabbed.
Oh, he killed.
So this time around, he had Hoseok give it a try. Hoseok was able to catch Taehyung just in time and stopped him from stabbing his father. As for Taehyung jumping off the platform, Seokjin went up the platform instead. So here we are, May 22, year 22. Seokjin finally saved everyone. They were all gathered at the beach together once again.
The mission success?
After the sunset, they went back to the place they were staying at and started dancing, laughing, and having fun. Seokjin thought this was a good time to finally confess to the boys. Taehyung thought he was going to tell everyone about what was really going on. A couple days before their beach trip, Taehyung asked Seokjin about the dream.
Because like we are way too early in the video for it to just end like that. So there's definitely some other shit that's gonna be happening that's gonna continue the fuckery. So let's see. Because this has got like 30 minutes.
He has been having dreams of the past timelines. Seokjin said he didn't know anything, but Taehyung knew he was lying. So when Seokjin started confessing, and it was actually about the time he snitched on them during high school and how Yoongi got expelled, that made Taehyung angry because he thought Seokjin was just being a coward and not admitting to the dreams and stuff. Taehyung then shouts out, "What's so great about being together? Who are we to one another?"
Okay, I told you, cuz. I knew some shit was gonna go down.
That's when Seokjin punched Taehyung and they broke out in a fight because, you know, his repeated attempts, his countless tries to save his friends.
Yeah, my boy been going through it as well.
Moments of suffering for them. So, you know, he's asking, why are you doing this to me? After that event, they all went their separate ways and didn't contact each other much.
Fucking
Seokjin
hell.
must have gone back again, but in another timeline, Seokjin leaves before all of this happens. Later that night, Jungkook got hit by a car. But not just any car. Jungkook believes it was Seokjin who hit him, but the odd thing is, Seokjin doesn't remember doing that at all. And we'll get to that in a little bit.
Wait, what?
This is
why would he? Oh, bro, this is crazy.
So after they've gone their separate ways and they didn't
so much questions.
We're gonna touch base on each character. Hoseok was the first person who heard about Jungkook's accident. He was working at the burger joint when Jungkook's classmates came in and talked about the car accident. Hoseok and Jimin came to visit him after he was unconscious for 10 days. They were upset that Jungkook didn't contact them immediately. Jungkook ends up meeting a girl at the hospital who helped him stay positive during his recovery. Yoongi was making music again with the help of a girl who played the guitar.
Oh, so they're all...
She was giving him free solo performances at schools and hospitals.
They're all getting into little
To
relationships.
his work again, he would lose sense of time. He didn't answer calls or checked his messages. He finally charged his phone, then it rang. It was a phone call from Jimin, telling him about Jungkook's car accident that happened the night they came back from the beach. Yoongi made it to the hospital, but couldn't bring himself to go in. He felt like it was his fault that Jungkook got hurt. Jungkook went outside with the girl he met at the hospital. They were
Bro, really? All it accounts to, if they just fucking had a conversation with one another, none of this would be happening. That's all it accounts to. And the realness of this is crazy. Like, sometimes people just don't fucking say what they're thinking.
Sketch. Then he heard a familiar song. It was a song Yoongi would play during high school. He looked over and it was the girl with the guitar. He got closer and noticed the lighter hanging on her guitar with the initials YK. It was Yoongi's initials. Taehyung is now all alone, but then he catches a girl stealing at a convenience store. They run into each other a couple more times and ended up basically becoming friends. They spent about a month together until one day, they were spraying graffiti at the bus stop Namjoon usually stops at. The
just doing crime together. Bonnie and Clyde.
Taehyung ended up surrendering, but after being released from jail, the girl was nowhere to be found. Jimin ends up going back home after they returned from the beach. After he ran away from the hospital, he has been living with Hosuk, but now it's time to go back home. His mother forced him to join an academy, and he was finally able to join Hosuk's dance class called Just Dance. During dance practice, Jimin and Hosuk's friend collided. Instead of him reacting to the girl getting hurt, he ends up running into the bathroom to wash the blood off his arm in a panic.
Oh shit. Well, he still got trauma at the end of the day.
The Florangboratorium, where he would run away. As soon as he realized what happened, he ran after Hosuk and the girl with an umbrella to help out, but stopped and turned back. Hosuk carried the girl in the rain to the hospital. In the process, he hurts his ankle. They made it, and the doctor told him she had a mild concussion. Hosuk discovers a plane ticket to the US in her backpack. He realized that she passed the overseas dance team audition. She became conscious and was ready to go home. When they got to the entrance, she was about to tell him about her going to the US, but instead, Hosuk avoided it and made an excuse to get an umbrella. He just didn't want to hear about her leaving. Namjoon becomes interested in a girl he's been seeing every day for about a month. They would take the same bus to study in the same library before he'd go to work at night. He never spoke a word to her, though, but began to wonder what she does and what kind of things she's enduring.
Okay, so I guess it is a story about you. So this is now, they went through the shit and now they're going through their little love arcs. So I'm just curious how their paths are going to cross again. And what the fuck is Jin doing while all this is happening?
It's probably because she reminded him of himself. He finally got the courage to buy her a hair tie, but ended up leaving it on her backpack when she was asleep. Eventually, each of the boys begin to rediscover themselves and realize they want to become a better person. Taehyung no longer wanted to be the same and wanted to protect his sister and his father, his family. Hosuk decided to leave town and was gone for a while to heal his injured foot, since he couldn't dance. During that time, he helped out a performance group and even toured with them for a little. They asked him to officially join their group, but he realized he needed to go back home. He didn't want to run away anymore. He comes back to finally congratulate his friend for going overseas. Yoongi lost the guitar girl, but even though he gave up on his music countless of times, he'd always start music again, and he didn't want to run away from it anymore. Jimin continued to dance and would practice by himself every night. He wanted to commit to something and prove that he was good at it. Namjoon thought back to his high school years. Everything he had given up on, he wanted to start again.
Interesting. So it's like their dreams are reigniting, kind of.
Off, especially after the car accident. He was trying to figure out what happened that night. Now, all of the boys planned on meeting up for the yearly fireworks on August 30, year 22.
I thought they were fighting, though.
It was actually Hosuk's idea to get everyone together, and after he returned from taking a break, their group chat started buzzing again.
Interesting.
Now there's Seokjin. In July, Seokjin saw a...
Well, okay, so the boys are meeting up, but Jin is not coming in. I don't know. Okay. Oh, fuck. This is so complicated, bro.
Girl drop her diary while crossing the railroad tracks. In that diary was her wish list of things to do. He ends up meeting up with her and doing everything she's been wanting, but he never told her that he had her diary. One of the things on her wish list was Smeraldo flowers. Seokjin was able to find a shop who could order those, but they wouldn't be able to get a hold of it until August 30. Seokjin was thinking of confessing his love for her with the flowers while the fireworks bursted in the sky. But that didn't happen. Seokjin was able to receive the bouquet of Smeraldo flowers from the delivery truck. He discovered there was no card in the bouquet and immediately called the owner. I'll make a U-turn now, the light just changed. Before the owner finished his sentence, the girl came into view.
Don't tell me she's gonna get hit by a car or
towards
something.
him across the road, then bam.
Bro, why do I know this shit so well? I just had the feeling as soon as I saw her running and she didn't look left or right, I knew she was about to get absolutely clapped by a car.
By the truck. He travels back to save her, which he thought was pretty easy to solve, but would encounter another tragic event with Namjoon on September 30, year 22.
Here we go.
Namjoon would end up passing away during a fire inside his container home.
Oh, fuck.
Seokjin couldn't figure out how to save him. Each time the loop began, the relationship between him and the girl deteriorated. They always did what her diary said, but each loop she grew more distant.
Interesting.
She asked him for a breakup because Seokjin was becoming strange and that she didn't know him anymore.
I think it's interesting, right? It's because I think it might make sense why that's happening. So when on the first loop, his whole focus was on the girl because he was kind of like distant from the boys. But now he's going back and trying to save Namjoon. Now he's focused more on the boys again. So there's like a distance now with the relationship with the girl. You know what I mean? So that's really interesting. I think that's what's happening.
He then stopped getting involved with the girl. He ends up giving back her diary and apologizing. The diary acted as a starting and stopping point for them. He tried to become someone else by following everything that diary had.
But it wasn't like him.
But realized that only being true to himself, he can continue to move forward.
Yep, exactly.
From this point on, I'm gonna be honest, you guys, it gets confusing even for me. A lot more time travels happened, but for this video, I'll try to make it easier to understand and simplify the timeline.
As if it wasn't confusing. As if it wasn't confusing before, it's gonna get even more confusing. Fuck yeah, my brain needs to activate to fully understand what's happening.
Namjoon's place was caused by goons who came to kick everyone out from the container neighborhood. There was a redevelopment plan established.
Okay, and that's how he. So he's murdered basically.
Along with Hosok's orphanage. Seokjin's father was actually part of this plan, along with his
fucking of course he was.
Named Uncle Junho. No matter what Seokjin did, he couldn't get past September 30, so he made a deal with the cat. He asked the cat how to save Namjoon, and the cat said, "Find the map of the soul. Then you'll be able to."
Where the fuck did the cat come from?
Instead, there will be
this is the first introduction of the cat.
We find out later that the price was him losing his memories, and whenever he would try to remember, or if he was in a familiar place, he would get major headaches.
Shit, so he's lost his memory.
He was beginning to forget why he was doing all of this in the first place and was losing himself. So now he's on a search for the map of the soul. At first, he thought it was in the form of a book. And
so does he not remember the boys then?
Bookstores. At one point, he asked Namjoon about it. And of course, Namjoon didn't know. Jimin also overheard Seokjin asking a doctor at the hospital about the map of the soul. Seokjin was actually there to get checkups for his major headaches. But of course,
wait, so he remembers the boys. Okay, what memories did he lose then? Because he remembers the boys, it looks like. So
Jimin texted the group asking, "Do you know what the map of the soul is?"
Oh, that's their album. That's an album, right? Map of the Soul.
Seokjin also asked him the same thing a couple days ago. So now the rest of the boys decided to try and figure out what is going on with Seokjin. But they left Jungkook out of this group chat since he was still sick and he was in the hospital.
Oh, here we go. More misunderstandings.
At the same time, Taehyung had also been trying to put the pieces together from his dreams. Remember that he's been having dreams of past timelines.
Yeah.
And at this point, I feel like he knows what's really going on.
Oh, I just realized something. Taehyung and Jin in what was it? Blood, Sweat and Tears, I think it was that music video. It was like the devil and the angel. Does that mean Taehyung becomes the bad guy? Because he's remembering these memories. He's the only one that has, he's the only one that has these dreams. So I think this is leading to Taehyung becoming like the bad guy or the antagonist.
Going on. So he realized that Seokjin needed their help but wasn't asking for it.
Or maybe
now
not.
The boys begin their search for
Maybe not.
this map of the soul. July 10, year 22. Taehyung told Namjoon about his dreams and that they were somehow linked to reality. One of the dreams was the fire incident at Namjoon's container. It then switched to Seokjin in the middle of a meeting room inside a tall building looking out the window. From his view, across the stream were apartment buildings in Myeonhyun City. He saw a billboard for canned coffee on a building rooftop, and behind it was a commercial building with a four-leaf clover logo displayed on the second floor.
Okay.
Seokjin phoned someone and said a word or two, then hung up. A moment later, lights turned off in every building.
Oh.
Seokjin smiled.
That does not. That seems sus.
Go searching for this location for days. During this time, there had been a typhoon as well. After so many days, they realized they couldn't find it because the billboard had not changed yet. So on July 18,
so it's in the future,
energy
the future
was
event.
Replaced with the canned coffee billboard. They found the office of National Assemblyman Kim Chang-jun.
So that means that they could, Taehyung can see into the future events, it seems.
Jin's father. They snuck into the conference room and Taehyung snatched the Songju City redevelopment plan off a printer.
Yeah.
They were able to make it
so
out,
that's
but
it. That's
caught and were brought to the police
That's
station.
Jin's dad's office then.
Namjoon tried dumping the papers at the police station.
Oh, that's why they were smiling.
Later found out reporters had gotten a hold of the documents. It was then revealed on the news, and the documents caused panic amongst Hosok's orphanage and revealed police overlooking the would-be violence.
So corruption was released. Like it was shown, proven.
22. Jimin remembered a man locked up in the ward at the hospital named Woo Hyun-sung. The man kept saying the map of the soul was wrecked.
Ooh.
And Jimin went to the hospital to see this
Interesting.
man. When the man was asked about the map of the soul, his eyes shone with rage and he screamed convulsively. Because of him, my soul was wrecked. Him. The man he was pointing to was Kim Chang-jun on TV, which was Seokjin's father. They were thinking there was no way Seokjin's father was somehow involved.
Interesting.
The man mentioned something like Giho and that Giho was missing. Jimin mentioned that he heard Woo Hyun-sung was admitted when he was in high school. As Jimin and
Jin's dad is connected to the map of the soul or just these supernatural abilities in general. So does that mean Jin potentially inherited the ability to be in a loop from his father? Maybe? Maybe it's like a bloodline thing. I don't know.
We were heading out from the hospital. Jimin's phone went off and it was Jungkook calling. Yoongi shook his head. We keep this between us, away from Jungkook. He has to focus on getting better.
He's trying to protect Jungkook, but Jungkook's going to read it in another way and he's going to be angry and sad. I know exactly what's going to happen.
They know. Jungkook actually saw them leaving the hospital, which is why he called Jimin. And Jimin lied to him by saying he was on his way home from Hagwon. Now, while all this is happening and the other boys are looking for the map of the soul,
it's just miscommunication, man.
Jungkook had been going over the scenes of the car accident that night. Police had shown him the surveillance camera of the accident. He realized it was Seokjin's car.
Okay.
But Jungkook lied and said he doesn't remember anything. At one point, he even asked Hosok about Seokjin, but Hosok looked flustered. And this made Jungkook think that Hosok knew something about Seokjin being involved in the car accident.
Ooh.
But it was actually because they were trying to keep him out of the loop with the whole map of the soul. So
it's just misunderstandings. Fuck.
Them knowing about the car accident, you know? So over time, Jungkook began to believe the boys knew about this accident, but were hiding it.
Ah, see, this is what I'm saying. Just communicate, my boys. Now Jungkook's gonna be an enemy. Fuck.
From him. Now that the city knew about the redevelopment, the plan for it sped up. Namjoon's boss at the gas station talked about one of Seokjin's father's high school friends who went missing and was never found. Jimin found a blog uploaded 10 years ago titled "The Missing Student from Songju Jail High School." Was Principal Jo Jin-myung involved? No comment was his answer. Taehyung also asked his uncle about Seokjin's father, since they were about the same age. He found out that Seokjin's father, Kim Chang-jun, went crazy when his friend went missing.
Interesting.
One day, Chang-jun was found collapsed in the music room in the annex, and that was it. He stopped looking for his missing friend. Chang-jun completely changed after that and had no feelings.
Interesting.
Taehyung asked, which one is the annex building? The uncle mentioned that back in the old day, they also used
so there's something to do with Jin's dad now.
Side of the gate.
Or is it even his dad?
In
or did his body, like, I don't know, get taken by someone else? Because it says he completely changed. Like, it seemed that his dad was a good dude prior to this event. Oh, bro, this is complicated.
Inside the one-story building. This was the same room the boys made into their secret hideout. Taehyung messaged his new findings in the group chat, saying, "And you know our classroom? It used to be a music room 30 years ago, and something must have happened to Seokjin's father in that room." Jimin told the group chat about the principal, Jo Jin-myung. He thinks he was involved in the case of the missing student, and that he went to school the same time as Seokjin's father.
Okay.
Namjoon went to the Songji City Library to find old newspapers. The missing student's name was
Bro, this is in
Choi
depth, bro.
Yu-ho. The article had an interview with his mother. It said that he left home saying he was going to see a friend. She asked him which friend and why so late, and he said he had to see his friend at school. He definitely looked scared, and she didn't know why she didn't stop him. Below the article was the missing student's picture, name, and description of what he was wearing. He was a senior in Songju Jail High School. They began searching the classroom, and Jimin pointed on the scribbles. Among so many scribbles were several names. They read Kim Chang-jun. Jimin pointed to another name.
Okay.
Woo Hyun-sung, the guy at the psychiatric
Yeah, that was the guy at the
ward.
hospital.
I can't recognize the other names. Yoongi pointed to another
And Choi.
name.
Isn't Choi the
Yu-ho.
kid he was the kid that the kid got kidnapped? He was in the room with Jimin when he went into the flower place. That's that kid.
The guy who went missing, right? Namjoon read a sentence below the names. Everything started from here. So Kim Chang-jun is Seokjin's father. Woo Hyun-sung is
Yeah,
the
guy
guy
at the
at
psychiatric ward, yeah.
ward. Choi Gyu-ho is the friend that went missing. Now, they didn't mention or
Okay,
point out
maybe
the
not.
name Jo Jin-myung, who was a principal, but they mentioned
thought
that
Choi
he
was
also
the
went to
kid in
same
the-
school and that he might have been involved
in the
case
flower place.
because of the past article. So I don't know if the principal used to be part of that friends thing who also went to the music room, but something happened and he was probably involved. July 24, year 22. 2 weeks ago, they decided to throw Jungkook a party to celebrate him being discharged from the hospital, but they completely forgot about it. So many things have happened since then,
Oh
and they all
shit.
ended up showing up late. Hosuk was the last to make it since he had been protesting and fighting in front of the city hall in order to
Bro,
stop
Jungkook
the
is not.
redevelopment.
He's like.
As soon as
He's
he
gonna
arrived
be
to
a
the
villain
party,
or
he
something.
went straight for Seokjin and asked him to take Yangji Children's Home out of the redevelopment plan. Seokjin listened without moving a muscle and said, "It's grown-up business." Seokjin scowled and rubbed his temples. He pushed his hand against the wall and stood up. So from the scene, you know he's getting his major headache again. Then he says, "Until when do I have to look after you guys? Can you please learn to do things by yourself?"
Oh shit.
And so
Bro, why can't these guys ever just converse properly? They always got to fight each other. Oh my god.
door and left. Jungkook watched Seokjin get into his truck and back away.
That's gonna make him more
He saw the
suspicious.
scratch on his bumper and strangely didn't feel anything. Everything became abundantly clear. So at this point, Seokjin is so frustrated, he's fed up, he's lost himself, he doesn't remember why he's even doing all of this in the first place. Seokjin thought that it was a waste of time to attend Jungkook's party instead of going to another redevelopment meeting. He went there in the first place thinking that they were going to talk about the map of the soul, but instead, Hoseok begged him to save the orphanage. We know that Seokjin is going through it and he's no longer himself. At this point, he was no longer trying to save the boys for their sake. He just wanted to find the map of the soul to end the constant loop and basically save himself. But we know he was going through it, so you can't blame Seokjin. August 2, year
Honestly, they're all going through it, let's be honest.
Seokjin came back to a note on his desk saying, "A draft of your father's memoir. You're in it too, so some feedback would be appreciated." The note was from Uncle Junho, which was his father's right-hand man.
Right-hand man,
It
okay.
was his first time being asked to read it in this loop. It might have been a butterfly effect from having gone to Jungkook's party instead of the meeting. The wind from the window ended up blowing the papers on the floor. As he began to pick it up, his eyes landed on something interesting. 10 pages were missing, and he flipped to the table of contents, and there he saw
the map of the soul.
Although he was disappointed because the chapter that was titled Map of the Soul had nothing in it about what the title meant.
Interesting.
But he saw the passage. When I thought about my high school days, I realized the map I've been looking for wasn't a real map with roads or dead ends, directions, and scales. It was just another name for the life I have lived, the countless hours I have lived since then,
Interesting.
and the choices I have made. It'd be the trajectory of all my failures.
So the map of the soul is the things that Jin did, basically,
but
in the loop.
I failed to find the map. In retrospect, I realized that I landed on the right path because of my failures. Seokjin then remembered what Taehyung had told him. You have lost your memories. Seokjin ran back into his room and pulled out a box from under the desk and found a couple of photo books and envelopes with Polaroid pictures. He began to look through the pictures and asked himself, did this really happen?
Yeah, because you lost your memories, my boy. So of course it happened.
Came back. He stood up and looked at the pile of pictures and gritted his teeth and tried to focus. Fighting against the pain, he tried to remember. Only when he was able to overcome the pain, he will be able to find the trajectory of his life and arrive at the map of the soul. Seokjin texted Taehyung the pictures and asked, did this really happen? Taehyung then texted the group asking, where is everyone? He wanted to gather everyone to help Seokjin remember. August 3, year 22. They brought Seokjin to the storage classroom to help bring back his memories, but he struggled with headaches.
Yeah, well...
Out of frustration and just hurting from this headache, he tried to leave, but Taehyung stopped him. They broke out into a fight and knocked over a wall, revealing
They're always fighting, bro, I swear. Every 5 seconds.
Inside the cabinet was a diary. This diary belonged to Seokjin's father.
Okay.
According to the diary, his father had gone through what was happening to him.
Okay.
Like him, he made mistakes and blundered, and he tried to undo them over and over again, but he failed. The diary was a record of his failures. After making the
So I'm kind of right. It's like a bloodline thing almost. Like their family has this ability for some reason to go through loops and stuff.
Friends, he was in a time loop. He tried to find the map of the soul, but failed and gave up. He forgot about it and went into denial and betrayed his friends. Seokjin looked up at the
It's
wall
like
and
history
remembered
repeating
seeing
itself,
his
and
father's name around there,
he just
and below it said everything started from here.
Jin has to stop
Perhaps it
himself
was
from making the same
inevitable
mistakes.
that they'd return to this place. Seokjin came back home and the pictures were still strewn on the floor. He still had a throbbing headache, but he knew that pain was the evidence that he was trying to remember what was important to him. Suddenly, people in the pictures seemed to be moving. All of the moments in the pictures were lifted up in the air and were replaying like videos. The whole room shone bright with whirling memories that were
he's
sad,
getting his memories
wistful,
back.
heartbreaking, and joyous.
Yes.
He then realized something was exuding light from his pocket.
Okay.
He took it out. It was a Polaroid picture with clear crumpled lines. He remembered the moment they took the picture. This was the first look ever for the 6 of them to be in the picture without him. Before then, he would use a timer. He looked down at the picture in his hand and the scene started to change slowly. There was Seokjin standing next to his friends in front of the car by the beach.
Oh.
He suddenly remembered the cat and the contract they made. There will be a price to pay. He realized what kind of horrible contract he signed up for. Do you think he could straighten out the errors and mistakes and save all of you? He was finally able to answer the question. The question itself was wrong. He didn't have to save them. He didn't have to straighten out all of the errors and
He had to save himself. I think that's what it is. I think he had to save himself.
mistakes either. What he had to do was accept all of his errors and mistakes as
Okay,
part of him.
that makes more sense.
The
Sorry.
one and only person he couldn't save was himself.
That's what I'm
And he
saying.
had to forgive, accept, and love himself.
That's
That
what I'm
was the
saying,
only
bro.
answer. He then realized all the pain had come to an end. August 7, year 22. Seokjin went into the den and gave his father the diary. His father took the diary and flipped through the pages. Instantly, his face became distorted. A look of pain was on his face now.
Because he
Seokjin
forgot the
asked his father
memories.
about the redevelopment
as
plan
well.
and to think about it one more time. His father said, "No, it has nothing to do with me now." August 10, year 22. Seokjin had gone through the documents found in the safe inside the inner room. Papers guaranteeing kickbacks from the construction company, slush funds, shabby construction, and profiteering, contract ad libitum, dual contracts, and also papers fabricated to conceal all these illegal dealings. His father had gotten to a place of no return.
Yeah, just a
Seokjin
villain
took
at
out his
that
phone
point.
and called the reporter who had disclosed the first document concerning the redevelopment plan. Now he had to do what he had to do. Seokjin texted the boys to meet at
Oh, and that's the scene that Taeyang
August
saw
11,
in the
year
dream.
22. They all arrived at the container and sat around the sofa. Seokjin started telling them about what happened back in high school. Seokjin apologized.
Sorry, I thought there was something.
For getting him expelled. Then he began to tell everyone the whole story. Finding out the future misfortunes of everyone after he came back from America, the cat that he met at the beach, the contract to turn back time, and the things he had experienced over and over again since then. The map of the soul, the price to pay, losing his memories. They had no idea whether the sandstorm began while Seokjin was talking or not. As Seokjin continued with the story, the wind became stronger.
Okay.
Everyone ended up closing their eyes, shedding tears from the prickly rain of sand. They couldn't see with their eyes, but they could feel it. As if they experienced it themselves, something flashing as time began to go back, the sound of a window being shattered. In the sandstorm, they finally understood what happened to Seokjin. No one spoke. The sandstorm disappeared without a trace, and the moon hung in the night sky.
Okay.
Soon after Seokjin started telling them his story, all the others looked as if they totally understood what he was saying, except for Jungkook. He
Oh.
thought Seokjin was going to mention the car accident, but didn't. I mean, it remains a mystery until now. Jungkook believes Seokjin was the one who hit him, but Seokjin doesn't remember any of this. During the night of the accident, Seokjin had a major headache and had closed his eyes.
So he
while
did
was
hit
driving.
Jungkook.
He then opened his eyes to a loud honking noise and saw headlights in front of him. As a reflex, he turned the wheel and skid against the asphalt. He stepped on the brake and the car crashed into the opposite guardrail and finally stopped. He opened the door and stepped out. The road was empty of cars. The car that was flashing its light was also gone.
Okay.
So we don't know the full story yet. Jungkook believes Seokjin is the one who hit him. But on Seokjin's side, he was probably going crazy. He thought he saw a car, but there was no car. Maybe the dent in front of his truck that Jungkook saw was actually a mark from the guardrail he hit and not him hitting a person. But when Jungkook saw the surveillance camera, he saw Seokjin's car. So I don't know. There's something missing. There's
okay.
something else going on with that,
there's definitely some other shit happening there.
August 20, year 20.
Like there's some other crazy shit happening there because like there was no car first of all when Jungkook was hit, but then in Jin's memory of it, there was a car, but there was no person and there was no one on the road after. So it's like, you know, but then it was Jin's car when he's looked at it through the surveillance camera. I don't know, bro. There's some missing piece there.
Put a stop to the redevelopment plan and arrested the people involved in the corruption. His father was not an exception. Uncle Jinho, which was the right-hand man, had disappeared right after news of his involvement went out. August 22, year 22. A drunk man harassed Namjoon when he came home from work. "Everything is ruined because of you," he said. "You talked Seokjin into this, didn't you? You ruined everything." The drunk man kept babbling about things, but Namjoon couldn't understand. August 25, year 22.
Who's the drunk man?
Seokjin went to Namjoon's container home and found Uncle Junho with a gasoline canister at his feet. A fire erupted from the container. Not long after, Namjoon arrived and ran towards the burning container. He jumped over the flames and threw himself against the container door. The little kid, Woo Chang, was still inside. He had been taking care of this kid for a couple of months now, and so this kid was stuck inside a burning container. Just when they were about to escape through the door,
wait, is this where Namjoon
materials ended up falling and blocking their way out?
This is when Namjoon burned alive or died.
Window. They were able to pull open the window to rescue the kid and Namjoon.
Okay, maybe not.
August 30, year 22.
I don't know, bro.
The boys were finally gathered once again for the annual firework festival. They
Timelines all
watched the
fucked in my brain.
fireworks light up the sky and fall limply down back to the stream. Everyone seemed to be enjoying the show except for Jungkook, who was looking down at his phone and playing a shooting game.
Because he's still thinking about the car incident.
After school, let's talk, Yoongi said. If I get time, Jungkook spat out in response and started a new game. So at this point, Jungkook is just out of it. He feels like the boys are lying to him. He is so sure that Seokjin is lying to him as well, and it was the one who hit him with the truck. So it's not looking good.
Yeah.
There's this like burning, growing rage and anger inside of him that will be an issue.
100%. 100%, bro.
22.
Jungkook is going to be an issue for sure.
Seokjin's father admitted to all charges and gave up his right to defend himself.
Bro, this drama is going to be crazy.
He turned and looked at Seokjin. He looked peaceful and calm. A look that Seokjin had never seen before. And for a fleeting moment, there was a sense of lightheartedness in his expression. Seokjin was seeing that expression for the first time, but he knew that was his father's true face. He came home and ran to the inner room.
Interesting, because maybe his dad remembered everything.
He had written, "I found the map of the soul. Everything ends here and now."
Okay.
That was basically the end of the Notes 2 book. We did get an
I open my eyes, my fingertips strange, so people.
Odd entry, but with no date. This was the last entry in the Notes book. The odd thing about this is that it's when Jungkook got into a car accident, which is supposed to be on May 22, year 22, and it's almost like the same entry. But this time, the dates is all X's.
Interesting.
Yeah. Now, during the time of the accident, Jungkook heard a voice say, "Living is going to be more painful than death, but do you still want to live?"
Oh, is that like a fox? Okay, there's another animal.
With blue and green eyes, the same cat that made the deal with Seokjin.
Oh,
but
shit.
unlike the first note that we got with a date, this one mentioned that Jungkook remembered hearing this from somewhere. So this wasn't the first time, and this has happened more than once. But that's all we've gotten so far, you guys.
Okay.
I hope you enjoyed this.
Bro, that's, oh my god, that's crazy. There's so many questions that I have even more. But at least I have a basic understanding of where the story's going on this. And fuck, okay, so we don't have, it's not, the story's not completed even. This is crazy. So the questions that we have remaining are, did Jin hit Jungkook? What happened in between that car accident with Jin seeing the other car and then Jin hitting Jungkook? We're still not sure if that's what happened. But then Jungkook saw his car. Then we have Jungkook also losing his mind. Not losing his mind, but basically his rage growing in his inside of him because he thinks his mates are hiding things from him. And kind of taking him for a fool. And that's why the biggest lesson we can get from this storyline is that just talk to people. If you have an issue with someone, if you're curious about something, just ask. Just communicate. Because if you don't communicate, this is what happens. Because both sides are at fault. Jungkook's are at fault because he's not communicating. He's like, what are you hiding from me? And the other guys are like not kind of thinking about Jungkook and how he could view what's happening because they're not telling him anything. They're hiding it from him because they care about him. But like, it's that miscommunication, bro. It's really an issue. Anyway, that was really fun. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you guys next time. Goodbye.